Hello and welcome back for some more Eldrazi Aggro. As you can see, we lost a few matches. This was a very quick loss to Ruby Storm. They went off on their turn 1 on the draw, and then they beat me on their turn 2 on the play. Sorry, when we were on the play. We were on the play both games. They won on their turn 1 with a Gemstone Cavern into Ritual Ral, Ritual, Metamorphose, nonsense, flip, kill you. Then this was a long match against Jessica Control, with Wrath of the Skies main, no Snapcasters or Flame Ignores. Interesting build. It was a fine matchup, other than ended up losing by accidentally passing through a combat phase where it would have done lethal damage. It was kind of a frustrating way for it to end. This hand, it's a little flooded, but these are good. I think we're gonna keep. It's close. I wish this was a Devourer to dig for some gas. Obviously, if we draw a few lands after this, it's going to feel real bad. But assuming we draw creatures, we can, basically cast anything we want on our turn 2, including a Thought Knot if we wanted. So, I mean, turn 1 at the Herald's the End is a great start into Fleshraker, or we can, Cavern and do a Line Breaker if we draw that or something like that. So, I think this is worth keeping. Opponent, probably not the Mirror. They are likely playing either the Through the Breach version, the green-red ramp version, or some Eldrazi lists. A Prismatic Waste Cavern. Doesn't really give it away, although I don't think it's Tron. Tron doesn't typically weigh the waste or that. So likely the green-red ramp version. Which makes all his dust pretty useless. We know they're not going to counter our spell. We don't need the all his dust. I'm trying to think. I think we're just playing out Fleshraker with the Cavern for now. It gives us blue to, sorry, I have to actually tap this for 2. Cast the Null Drifter, evoke the Null Drifter next turn. Although we'll be close to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We only need 6 mana. Cast it, hit the Herald's out. This is a Dismember. Dismember on the Fleshraker. Interesting. I think that's a decent choice on their part. They're just trying to survive. They might be the Through the Breach version too. So if they're Through the Breach, they're just surviving until like Ring into Breach. If they're the ramp version, then once they get like a Sowing Myco spawn out, then they can ramp into their 10 drops and kill us pretty fast at that point. So like they're just trying to. They paid 4 life, but like it would have done 2 damage to them next turn. And oh, is this a mirror matchup? Interesting. Well, that's fun. Mirror matchup. Dismember main. I did, when I was looking through lists, I saw the ones I found originally, the 5 lists did have Dismembers in the main. I haven't found that to be necessary. Question is now, do we want to draw cards this turn, or we can do both? Let's start by drawing cards. The cost reduction, maybe I should have played this first, because then I could have played that for just a blue. Anyways, the cost reduction does apply to the evoke. Well, this is, our worst nightmare. Unfortunately, we are doing a really good job of drawing lands. Wow. 5 cards to 6 lands for our first 11 draws. It's pretty. I mean, obviously we kept a land heavy hand. It was 3 to 4 there, but we've drawn 2 more. Thought Knot will take our all dust, which is fine. I guess there's a slight, maybe we should have played out the lab with that on it, but it's not going to give us any value to return to our hand at any point. Interesting. I'm going to trade with this because the buff from this is insane. Can I hardcast this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. Yeah. We will not do that because it's our only card. We're just going to hardcast it. I know I could draw into other stuff, but there's potential that I don't, or what I draw to isn't that great. This guarantees I have a good blocker against their Thought-Knots here, assuming they don't have another line breaker. And this is, I mean, that's a decent draw there. I can now hit the Heralds into another Null Drifter, swing for 6 with Annihilator 1, so it sets us up decently. Their best draw is probably another line breaker or Flesh Raker here. Like a Flesh Raker plus a 2-drop would be very powerful and scary. I don't have a removal for it. I'm surprised they offered that trade with the line breaker. I don't know if I would have done the same. It depends on the hand. So they're digging for business here. Making the tokens makes the Null Drifter's Annihilator trigger far less scary. Which makes sense. But that is where they're going with it. Scry 2 top, 1 bottom. So they got 2 draws that they like. Not a great sign for us. I think we're still just... Ooh. I think we want to steal a card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll have 7 mana. I can do 1, 2, 6. I can't do the evoke, I guess. Let's start with Thought-Knot. See what we're working against before we make our decisions here, because we might need to dig for an answer depending on what they have. Devourer is fine. Reality Smasher has haste. Thought-Knot means I probably don't want a Null Drifter, although I can take my Null Drifter. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He has 8 mana. So you could hardcast a Null Drifter or evoke it plus Thought-Knot. He could also Reality Smasher plus Thought-Knot if he draws a land. Seems like he's probably... I think I take the Null Drifter. I take the Null Drifter. This is a weird game. I don't think I'm evoking this, and they're probably going to end up just taking it with their Thought-Knot. But I think that's fine. Or... I'm going to tuck it. That's what I want to do. I think I want to hardcast this next turn. So I want to tuck it under here to protect it and just return it on their end step. I guess I should have counted that this is actually lowering their mana by 1, so they're not going to be able to Reality Blast Thought-Knot. So I assume Reality Smasher is just coming back our way, but we have lethal next turn and we have some really good blockers here. Maybe I didn't need to tuck it, because if they thought not take it, I still just kill them next turn. Sorry, I wasn't even looking at the fact that like we had lethal flying damage. Null Drifter was definitely the right choice. It's their only way to block our flyer. I got there for a different different reasoning, but got to the right conclusion. This is probably great in this matchup. All's Dust is useless, so because we're bringing in that one and going down, we'll go down to only 9 hits for our temples, but I think that's fine. We're bringing in our gemstones. Take out those. Battle Mages bouncing things can be good. I think Dismembers are probably worth it. Yeah, we definitely want those. Maybe it's just like this. Disruptor Flute could be good in some circumstances, but it affects our spells. So it's like sometimes it would be really great to like stop them from casting something if we already had, like if we cast Linebreaker and then cast it and name Linebreaker, they can't get theirs out or something like that, but it's symmetrical. The Battle Mage, I'm torn on this. They don't really, I'm trying to think, they don't really have artifacts or enchantments. And the Mimic can be very powerful, especially because, you know, we have all these like big hits here. And I mean, Breaker's a great hit on Mimic. Making it 8/4 is awesome. It also can't be hit by Dismember. Makes me want more Breakers. I think we're leaving it like that. want another. I'm gonna split. Split like this. Keeping the reshaper because there's a lot of times I want to chump block. I switched. I don't know. I don't have like a solid reason other than I do feel like there are going to be instances where bouncing something could win us the game. There's a lot of things that aren't. Ugh. Yeah. Wow. I'm actually a little tempted to keep this. Um, I shouldn't, but I could dig for a temple. I could exile my Thought Knot or one of the heralds. No, I exiled the other cavern. Sorry, I forgot. So I just needed any land in the top 4 cards. I get to turn 1 herald, turn 2, turn 3. No, I think there are definitely better 6s than this 7. Hey, we still got our gemstone. This is great. This is just the only thing that would make this better is if this was a temple or we had a devour. The question is here what to put back because I obviously I want my 4 cards, but if I go down to 2 lands, I might not ever get to cast these. Last game I drew so many lands. Part of me wants to risk it and just bottom. I guess I have to bottom the. Oh, if I'm gonna use gemstone, I'm losing 2 cards. How risky is this hand? I think we're gonna bottom a line breaker, exile the secluded guard with this, and then hope to draw any land. That's as risky as we can get. I think I want to keep the mimic and 2 of them. It's close. Ideally, we just draw a 7-drop or a temple. That's what we're hoping for, which is what? 4. We have 12 hits. We have 12 hits. We can turn 1 Eldrazi breaker or line breaker, which is probably our best start. Maybe it's Flesh Raker is actually our best start into line breaker, but they had to go down, but they have a Devourer. Let's see what happens. I'm at least getting to Mimic turn 1, which, you know, it's a blocker. It's a weird matchup. I don't know if I was supposed to go down more cards. Facing my... It's not my deck, but very similar. Well, they got a good start. They got a it. ITHTE. It. Well, we didn't draw what we wanted. So let's hope that we get lucky next turn. Any land. Basically, yeah, just give us any land. Going once, going twice. That was the other thing. I think I'm taking this trade. That game against Jessica Control, game 2 I lost because I think I had drawn 13 of my lands out of like the top 30 cards. So it was like I drew half lands. And so it got to the point where I'm like the bottom half of my deck is like 3-to-1 ratio or something crazy like that. Anyways. But we're being punished. They seem to have kept a weird hand as well. Oh, that's probably bad for us. If we can just draw like our opponent, we'll do great. I wonder what they take. I wonder if they take our Thought Knot. Or if they just take a line breaker. Or if they're like, well, what he really needs is land, so I'm going to take the Reshaper. Makes sense. Basic 4 seems like maybe they're playing World Breaker or Sowing Microspawn. Hey, we did it. We drew a land. We'll start with this guy because they swing. We get to just chump and hope to hit another land. Gives us another turn and an extra draw, essentially. What a weird game. We're both playing aggressive decks full of 3-drops that we can cast on turn 2. It's turn 5 and no one's taking any damage. Sorry if me drinking water is really loud. I'm going to stay hydrated, whether you like it or not. This looks like an Evoke on Null Drifter. Woohoo. Can't imagine, like, what are the cards he's holding? Plenty of mana. I know one of them's a Devourer, obviously. Yes, I would like to trade in my Matter Reshaper for a card, please. Ideally, a land that goes into play. Not a land. Hey, we got a land. Okay. We don't need to draw more lands. That is enough. We are swinging here. I'm not interested in just chumping with a line breaker. They know we have more, so I would be surprised to see him keep attacking. But next turn we get to trigger 2 of them, assuming he doesn't just, like, I guess, dismember this one. Kozilek's command could exile it as well. 1, 2. Yeah. He has enough to Kozilek's command where X equals 4. Exile our creature. I use that mode pretty often. Use it as removal plus draw a good card or just make a bunch of dudes. He's got Devourer out. Interesting. Good blocker, obviously. My double trigger won't be enough to push through. Unfortunately. Oh, I can cast both. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Triple, though. They're all getting 3, so they're all swinging for 6. It's lethal unless he blocks, so it forces him to block, and he'll have to trade. So this I think is the power of the breaker of lines. Just to make sure I click through the triggers correctly. Is there a debate for doubling up on the 2 new ones? It's trample damage. No, I have to put it 1 on each, right? Because otherwise it won't trade with the Devourer. So I got that one, this one, this one. Be very careful not to click through my attack. Okay. Yes, please attack for lethal. So this is going to trade. He still has to take 12, meaning I'm still presenting. I mean, I'm presenting 10 trample, so he can absorb 4 of it. So I'm still. He has to have at least 2 more toughness out, which I assume he can do. He has plenty of mana. He has cards in his hand. Next turn, if we draw like a land, then I'm returning the Null Drifter and evoking it. If we draw any sort of action, we're going to play it, obviously. One thing we might hold on to is a Flesh Raker. I don't know. That'd be a lot of reasons. So, yep, he got removal for 1. And he's drawing a card. And 1 can't swing through the Thought Knot, but it would trade with it. So I might do that. Another land. Is he going to exile? No. He's got a Mimic too. Very similar list. Interesting. I'd be surprised if he attacks here. He shouldn't. And he did not. What are we drawing? Interesting. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 short of casting it. I just need something in play to buff this, honestly. So I think we're evoking blue, colorless. We can hit any of our 3 drops, which is nice. Big money, big money. No whammy. We cannot bounce. I need 1 more mana to bounce, and I can't cast this. So the question is, if I cast Battle Mage without bounce, I can swing for lethal, force him to block with the Thought Knot. He would still take 1. I get to draw another card. I have a 2/2 out, and he has a 2/1 out. If I do nothing, next turn I could bounce the Thought Knot, draw a card, and swing. We assume he has something good. He scryed. How much did he scry? How many good cards did he have here? 3 bottom. Okay. Okay. So I wasn't feeling confident there. I think I'm gonna do that. As much as there's value with the bounce, if I buff him, he swings as a 4. So I'd have a lethal attacker. Maybe I do just want to buff him. I didn't think about that before. If I buff him, he's going to block and kill it, but I get to draw a card. But if I buff him, he'll probably just chump. And chump blocking is fine for me because I got something off the board. I keep my line breaker and got rid of a blocker, essentially, is what this card did. Which I think is fine. Oh, maybe he thinks it gives trample. In which case, thank you for letting me draw a card. Well, that was even better. Okay, that was fine. Now what? Now we hope that we can just exile a blocker and make a bunch of tokens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So X is 4. I make 4 tokens, which means my trigger is for 5. Plus 5 on a trample. I can swing for 8 trample. Let's see what he's doing. Yikes. Don't know that I can beat Mr. Kozilek, the Broken Relay. Why doesn't it just do it for me? Like, I don't have an option. I have to select every card in my hand. It's weird. Just manifest it for me. How does it work again? Oh, you can't flip it up. Sorry, I wasn't sure if you could still like morph land. Oh yeah, the mimic trigger. That's why. That's why I traded the Thought Knives, because he had a big dude for the mimic. Yeah. Obviously need to block. No point in double blocking. No point in losing my line breaker. Don't know that I can get through this. Hey. That's nice. Is that lethal? Bounce this. He only has a 2/2. I put the buff on here. It's plus, not 3. It's only plus 2. So it's 5 trample. If he blocks the 5 trample, he takes 3 plus the 2 from this and dies. If he blocks this, he dies. Okay. See, I told you the Wastegate Battle Mage was going to be worth it. Let's bounce the big scary. Poor Favor. Ooh, we got there. We got there. Feels good. And I'm going to buff here, right? I need the trample if I buff there. Buff here, lethal, lethal. Yeah, sorry. I could do either way. If I buff this one, he has to block this or block these. If I block the trample, it's through either way. Nice 2-0 there. Let's hope this next game's quick. I have a meeting in 26 minutes. I mean, that one was quick, right? 11, 12 minutes. I play quick. Hopefully we get another fast deck. Well, that's my own video there. Interesting. I played with that Kozilek in my sideboard. I switched to playing the other Kozilek, the Great Distortion, because it essentially, reads on cast, draw 7 or 6, 6 or 7 cards by the time I cast it. With the idea of like in the grindy controlling matchups, I'd want it. I ended up cutting it because it's just like I, never get to it, and they can still consign the trigger, but then I have this big thing out, but they could sign the, and so I have to cavern it. Anyways, this hand's decent. Cavern, Gemstone Cavern's on the play, feels a little bad, but I get to devour. I get to turn one into turn. Ooh, I need red mana, so we'll see. It's not the best, but Double Temple is pretty hard to mull, and so like I do have things to do. Mr. Skittles mulls to 6. Good fun. Have luck. Take love. Just seemed right. It is annoying on the play to have to do this before you see what your opponent's doing. It's like, well, I would know what to pick. I think I'm going to Kozilek because I can like X's 2 already on turn 2. I don't have any red mana here for no line breaker. I don't have blue mana for that. A second Wastegate is the only other choice is I could grab on my Mick, but I get it on my next turn, so it's like less appealing. So yeah, we're gonna do that. And I think I said this in my deck tech, but like playing this out as just a 2/2 on turn 1 is fine. Especially because I don't have colored mana anyway, but like I do this in a lot of games. And it's good against control matchups, whatever, like when you can get this, when you can play a 2-drop on turn 1, like take that opportunity basically every time. Can't really think of a circumstance where you wouldn't. Well, I can't. You wouldn't do this if your opponent was playing like an Urza Saga deck. Then you'd keep the Battle Mage in hand because it's not just a 2/2, it is your interaction. But, ooh, are we playing against a graveyard deck? Or is it just stupid frog? Probably frog, but could be either. Really would have loved to have seen a cavern in that top 4, right? There's some debate to doing this on their upkeep to avoid force negation. Ooh. That's hard. Linebreaker's so good. But I assume they're just going to get counterspelled. Like I could fetch a mountain and play and, just draw these 2 cards. But I think I want to dig for cavern. Do I still want to put this top to get my red source? This might be incorrect, but I'm just going to dig. Oh, never punished. I knew it was there. I knew my 3rd card from the top was clearly a Cavern of Souls, and that was the best play I could have made. Actually, if I had known this, I would have left the 2nd Linebreaker up there. I would have drawn Linebreaker and then drawn Cavern for turn. Start casting them. Uncounterable Linebreakers are arguably our best play against a blue deck, so. Bottoming 1 doesn't feel great, but it was a risk, calculated risk. It is not. It's likely still a frog deck if they're splashing black. But it looks like probably just Grixis, maybe Murktide still. Like the classical blue-red Murktide. This person didn't want to just play blue-black. They wanted to play their... Ooh, a Delver. Spicy. I haven't seen Delver since the good old days. Hope we're seeing another Linebreaker on top there, friend. See what they saw. Courtyard. Less exciting. Not going to play it. Actually, we're still 1 short of a Devourer. Okay, we'll do this. Go ahead and buff this dude up. Swing it in. Put him down to 8. See how your lightning bolts do now. Next turn, I'm probably going to go for All's... no, I'll do Devourer because it's uncounterable. I'll exile this if it flips. No, well, yeah. I assume they're going to get a 4th type, but if not, I'll exile the Aberration. Unless they cost Frog, then we're definitely exiling that. Hate that Frog. I'm sure I'd love it if it was on my side of the board, but man, I hate facing it. Come on, opponent. I got a business meeting to get to. Go faster, please. He's like, how the heck am I going to beat this Eldrazi? If he has a bolt, it should be dead already. He might have a push, and he's like, I need to find a fetch land so I can fetch and kill it. I feel like me chewing is probably loud. I'm going to mute myself for a bit here. They obviously turned on their Delirium. They don't have removal for this, though. We're still in great shape. Are we presenting lethal, technically? I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I just cast this and then buff it. Otherwise, I'd want to cast Fleshraker if we weren't going for lethal right now, but we have to sack one of these. I kind of think he's holding up removal for this. If I do cast this, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's still not enough to kill it just by itself. Or do I just go for all of this? But they might be holding like a Spell Pierce, which is useless if I go this line. And I don't want to make his Spell Pierce all of a sudden save him. Let's see what he has. If he does nothing, I'm just going to buff the Devourer and swing. He has less removal for Devourer than he does for Linebreaker. This is a shock push. Yeah, it's a push. That's fine. I still get rid of his Surveil engine. He'll have one threat. I'll still have a big threat that he can't remove with push or bolt. Yeah, I think we're still in a good shape. He's down at 5. Honestly, if we draw like any of our other 3 drops or 2 drops, we can double spell next turn, and that puts us in a good place too. We'll have 7 mana even if they got rid of the spawn token. Iteration is a powerful card. I guess splashing red for iteration and what's it called makes sense. Oh, he put a counterspell in the graveyard. I missed that. Our dig for souls paying off. If we had kept that Linebreaker top, we would have. Would we have won? I don't know if we would have won, but he has to hold that back to block. It's a great sign for us. Ooh. Can you beat another one? No, is the answer. Okay. So, sideboarding. Interesting. A lot of our stuff is good. I don't actually want to go gemstone. I don't think I can afford to go down in cards. It's hard because everything is so good. We really want a cavern in this matchup. I don't think flute or battle mage are necessarily worth it. I think curse is because not only does it like turn off delirium and snapcaster and stuff, it's also a threat on its own that they have to deal with. I'm tempted by Trinisphere. I mean, their whole deck is like 1-drops, but if I bring these in, I'm taking out creatures, and it's like I think I want to keep my threat density high. Mimics are a little fragile. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to dilute it that much. I'll trim as always does just because I can't make this uncounterable. And this is, lower to the ground threat that will still get hit by the same counter spells. And then I guess I'll cut the one of... I don't know, it's so good against such a removal heavy deck. I'll cut one Mick. We'll try that. I am making it up as I go as far as sideboarding goes. I think I've admitted that throughout these videos. I haven't like come up with a guide. I haven't come up with a solid 15. I've switched this one of in my deck multiple ways. I've thought about going down to 2 all as Dust Main. Worst possible matchup in every format. Definitely know the feeling. This is fine. We can turn one, either the it or the hair. We'll do this if they like start with on the what's it called? What's his name? Darcy. And then we have Cavern, which is perfection. If he just leaves mana up, we're not going to turn one this because he likely has spell snares. We'll throw this into a spell snare, I guess. I don't know. It's hard when it's like they can't sideboard out all their counter spells, and they keep I often am facing these kind of decks. They keep some number of force negations in because they know Kozilek's command and all his dust is there. So it's kind of like a weird thing balance where it's like, do they keep in their counter spells? It's one of their best cards, but then all we need to do is play a land, and we've negated it. So 1 land in 21 cards. Sorry, mate. I definitely know. Okay. Opponent had mold to 5 already and hadn't said he had only seen one land. So he's having some rough beats. Understand. I started the league that way. I'm not gonna risk another game in 14 minutes, but I'll upload these two and then try to do the last match later. See if we can finish 3-2 in this league. I like Breaker. Haven't actually cast him yet, but I think that this is a good one in the slot, and might even consider running it over an All's Dust. All's Dust is a powerful card, but again, it's not a threat in and of itself, and I can't make it uncounterable with Cavern. I don't know. Breaker also costs 8 instead of 7, and there's a big difference there. But again, I'm not 100% sold on this card. Maybe I just want more Wasescape. I'm not 100% sold on the third All's Dust in the main deck, and the sideboard is all in flux. I'm not sold. The reality is I don't like getting rid of a bunch of creatures, and so I think Trinosphere is necessary. Like it's my only hope to beat things like Storm. Um, but maybe I want to find more creatures for the sideboard, and that's why I like Hearse, is it's kind of a creature. So, anyways, enjoy. Have a great day.